I tested some of the best open back headphones of 2025, and in this video I'm gonna rank them in a tier list based on their value for money, overall performance, and more. Links to all of the products will be in the description below. AudioTechnica ATTH R50X. These really nailed that open back ATTH M50X vibe with their punchy low end that actually surprises you for an open design. The mid-range clarity is honestly fantastic and they make vocals shine, but man, that treble can be a bit harsh sometimes, which might fatigue you during longer sessions. They're perfect for studio work and mixing since they're so easy to drive at 50 ohms, but if you're super treble sensitive, you might struggle with them unless you're willing to EQ. I'm putting these in the average tier because while they do some things really well, that treble sharpness holds them back from greatness. Sennheiser HD650. This is where things get interesting. These headphones had that legendary veil that people either love or hate, but honestly the mid-range is just so damn engaging and musical. The bass is tight and authoritative without being bloated, and once you get used to that slightly rolled off treble, everything just sounds so natural and pleasant. They're incredibly versatile across genres and work with pretty much any amp you throw at them, making them super accessible. I'm confident placing these in the great tier because they've earned their reputation as a reference standard, even if they're not the most exciting headphones out there. HiFi Manara. Man, these planners really deliver that fast, snappy sound that makes everything feel so immediate and alive. The bass extension is genuinely impressive for an open back, and that warmish, detailed signature just works so well across different music styles. You definitely need proper amplification to get the most out of them though. They sound pretty flat and lifeless straight from the earphone. They're perfect for people who want that planar magnetic precision without breaking the bank, and the build quality feels solid enough to last. I'm placing these in the great tier because they offer incredible value and performance that punches way above their price point. HiFi Manara. These are just exceptional. They take everything good about the Manara and turn it up to 11 with that massive open soundstage and incredible resolution. The bass goes deeper, the highs are more liquid, and that mid-range presence is absolutely delicious without being shouty. What really sets them apart is how easy they are to drive at just 25 ohms while still scaling beautifully with better gear. They handle every genre I throw at them with such grace and authority. And that combination of neutrality with just enough fun factor makes them addictive to listen to. I'm absolutely putting these in God tier because they deliver reference level performance with musical engagement that keeps you coming back. Focal Glear MG. These French beauties bring that premium build quality you expect from Focal with a sound that's punchy yet refined. The magnesium driver delivers excellent transparency, and that wide spacious soundstage really makes everything breathe naturally. They lean slightly dark, which might not be for everyone, but the bass is rock solid and the imaging is just incredible for pinpointing instruments. The semi-open design gives you more bass presence than typical open backs while still maintaining that airy feel, though you really need a decent amp to unlock their full potential. I'm placing these in the great tier because they strike that perfect balance between technical performance and musical enjoyment, even if the price point is pretty steep. AudioTechnica ATTH R50X. These deliver a clean, well-balanced tuning with a mildly U-shaped response that really hits the sweet spot for professional use. The bass is tight and controlled with good punch, while the mid-range absolutely shines with vocals sounding warm and clear. However, I do notice the bass can feel a bit lagging in richness and punch compared to some competitors, giving it a somewhat hollow feeling at times. The ultra-light design at just 220 grams makes them incredibly comfortable for long studio sessions, though they might be too large for smaller heads. I'm placing these in the great tier because they excel as reference headphones with exceptional detail and neutrality, perfect for mixing and mastering work. Sony NDR7506. This 30-plus-year-old design is still absolutely crushing it in professional studios worldwide. They offer a bright sound profile that makes identifying pops and artifacts in recordings incredibly easy, which is why engineers swear by them. The frequency response is impressively consistent regardless of your head shape or whether you wear glasses, and the harmonic distortion performance is excellent. Sure, the 80s materials and non-detachable cables show their age, and the ear pads start peeling sooner than you'd like. But honestly, the reliability and that signature bright sound that cuts through any mix keeps them as an industry standard. I'm putting these straight into God tier because they've proven themselves over decades and remain unmatched for professional monitoring at this price point. Himan Edition XS. These planar magnetic bring a serious performance down to the $500 mark with excellent bass depth that reaches the lowest notes effortlessly. The soundstage is wide and imaging is spot on, with each instrument getting its own space to develop beautifully. I love how they maintain a neutral, bright tonality that works across genres, though the upper treble can get a bit glaring on poorly mastered tracks. The comfort is decent with light clamping force, but the massive X-shaped cups might not work for everyone. At 18 ohms impedance, they're easy to drive from pretty much anything. I'm placing these in grade tier because they deliver flagship level sound quality at a mid-tier price, making them an absolute steal for the performance you get. Newman NDH30. These are built like a proper studio tool with a simple, no-nonsense design that prioritizes function over flashiness. The frequency response is impressively flat with excellent low distortion performance, making them great for picking out details in a mix. The bass is tight and deep with almost no distortion, though the mid-bass can feel somewhat anemic and lacking impact. At 352 grams, they're quite heavy and the circular ear cups don't fit all ear shapes perfectly. They scale well with better gear thanks to their low distortion driver design. I'm putting these in good tier because while they're technically competent reference headphones, they lack the wow factor and can feel a bit clinical for everyday listening. Misy 109 Pro. These Romanian beauties combine stunning walnut wood aesthetics with exceptional comfort thanks to their lightweight steel frame and perfect clamping force. The sound leans warm neutral with dynamic punchy bass that delivers more impact and texture than typical reference headphones. The mid-range is natural and spacious, making vocals incredibly engaging, while the treble has plenty of shimmer and texture. They're incredibly easy to drive with low impedance and high sensitivity, but they scale beautifully with better amplification. The build quality with replaceable parts means these will last for years. I'm placing these in the grade tier because they nail the complete package of gorgeous design, outstanding comfort, and a musical sound signature that makes you want to keep listening for hours. Biodnamic DT990 Pro. These are built like tanks with a classic biodynamic durability you'd expect. The bass has fantastic punch and slam that makes gaming explosions sound incredible. But here's the thing, the treble is pretty aggressive and can get harsh over long listening sessions. They're really aimed at gamers and mixing engineers who need that emphasized treble to catch details, but casual listeners might find them fatiguing. The frequency response has some serious quirks with boosted highs that can make poor recordings sound rough. I'm putting these in the good tier because while they excel in specific use cases, the harsh treble holds them back from greatness. Philips Fidelio X2HR. These have surprisingly rich and warm bass for open backs, which is honestly refreshing. The build quality feels solid with that metal construction, but man, they're heavy at 380 grams and clamp pretty tight on your head. The treble has some peaks that add mild harshness, though it's nowhere near as brutal as the DT990 Pro. They're comfortable enough for long sessions despite the weight, but you'll always know you're wearing them. I'm placing these in the average tier because while they fix some issues that other headphones have, the comfort problems and weight make them hard to recommend over better options. Sennheiser HD660S2. These are nearly flawless, with a classic Sennheiser mid-range magic and incredible detail retrieval. The build quality is time-tested and parts are easily replaceable, so they last you years. What really impresses me is how they've improved the sub-bass response over the older HD650 while maintaining that natural uncolored sound. The imaging is holographic with great three-dimensional space, even if the soundstage isn't the widest. These are the serious listeners who want reference quality sound without any gimmicks. I'm confidently putting these in the God tier because they represent the pinnacle of what open-back headphones should be. Sony MDR MV1. These are shockingly comfortable at just 218 grams, almost too comfortable, honestly. The bass response is surprisingly powerful for open backs, giving tracks real weight and authority. Sony nailed the technical performance with solid soundstage, great imaging, and good detail retrieval. However, the bass can get overdone sometimes, and there are some treble peaks that hurt the overall balance. They're clearly designed for content creators who need monitoring headphones that won't fatigue during long editing sessions. I'm placing these in the grade tier because they excel at their intended purpose, even if they're not perfect all-rounders. Philips SHB 9600. These punch way above their weight class with a flat, accurate sound signature that reproduces music as intended. They're incredibly light and comfortable with good detail across the frequency range, though there are some dips in the mid-range and upper treble. The soundstage is wide and open, making live recordings sound immersive. Build quality is the main weakness here. It's very budget-focused and won't last as long as pricier options. They're perfect for newcomers to open backs who want great sound without breaking the bank. I'm putting these in the good tier because they deliver excellent performance for the price, but the build quality keeps them from going higher. Yamaha HBH MT5. These closed-back monitor headphones deliver a largely neutral sound with deep bass and slightly forward mids, but they struggle with fast-moving bass lines that can get muddy. The lightweight 250 grams build makes them comfortable for tracking sessions, though the shallow ear cups and suffocating pads can cause heating issues during extended use. They're perfect for beginners audio engineers on a budget who need decent reference headphones under $100. But the build quality is mostly plastic and the unique cable connector makes replacements a hassle. I'm placing these in the average tier because while they're solid for the price, the comfort issues in muddy low end hold them back from greatness. Sennheiser HD490 Pro. This is where Sennheiser really nailed it. These open-back headphones are incredibly lightweight at just 260 grams and feature swappable fabric and velour ear pads that completely change the sound signature. The fabric pads give you a more neutral mixing experience, while the velour pads add some warmth and bass boost, making them versatile for both production and enjoyment. The build quality feels premium with metal construction, and the velour pads are some of the most comfortable I've experienced. Perfect for those marathon mixing sessions. I'm confidently putting these in the great tier because they offer professional grade sound quality with incredible comfort and versatility that justifies their price point. Fio FT1 Pro. This planar magnetic headphone surprised me with its neutral tuning that moves away from the typical Harman curve, delivering articulate bass without mid-range bleed and crisp treble that stays just shy of harshness. The technical performance punches above its weight class with excellent detail and retrieval and fast, controlled bass, though it does have a slight metallic timbre in the treble that prevents it from competing with higher-end models. The build quality feels premium with generous accessories including quality cables and a hard case, but the comfort could be better for long listening sessions. I'm placing this in the good tier because it offers excellent value and sound quality for the price, even if it has some minor limitations that keep it from the top tier. Sennheiser HD800s. These are simply legendary. The soundstage is absolutely massive and the three-dimensional in a way that makes you feel like you're sitting in the recording studio. The detailed retrieval is borderline supernatural, especially in the mids and treble where every nuance of vocals and instruments come through with pristine clarity. While the bass might feel slightly rolled off compared to more modern headphones, the overall presentation is so transparent and revealing that it makes you hear details in familiar sounds you've never noticed before. I'm putting these straight into God tier because they've been the benchmark for flagship headphones for over a decade and still deliver an almost revelatory listening experience that few headphones can match. HiFi Manara. These egg-shaped planars deliver that signature HiFi house sound with a large diffuse soundstage and excellent instrument separation that makes complex orchestral pieces shine. The resolution is fantastic and they're incredibly revealing, maybe too revealing if your music isn't well mastered, with neutral mids that portray music exactly as recorded. The main weakness is dynamics, where crescendos build up but don't quite reach their full impact, and they leak sound like crazy, so forget about using them around others. I'm placing these in the great tier because while they excel at technical performance and have that addictive planar clarity, the lack of dynamic punch and some comfort issues prevent them from reaching the absolute top. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope this video helped you pick the best open back headphones for you. If you have any questions, drop a comment below. Links to all of these products mentioned in this video will be in the description. Alright, peace out.